We've seen it in IT services. These are the Booz Allens of the world, the labor services guys. We've seen GD, General Dynamics, buy CSRA in February. SAIC and Agility are combining. So the next players in that space in terms of scale would be a CACI and a Booz Allen. So a lot of consolidation in that IT services space. With Harris and L3, this creates the sixth largest prime. Their revenues will be around 16 to 20 billion. They're coming close to the next prime, market cap of 35 billion. So it creates a more formidable competitor. So you might see the other smaller cap guys pair up as well.
We saw a lot of industrials and other names that could fall into this category who kind of got caught up in a downdraft yesterday as the street started worrying about industrial companies, everything from Caterpillar to Textron to Snap-on Tools, who we had on just a little earlier, the CEO from Snap-on Tools, talking about what happened yesterday when the market said, uh-oh, the economy in China is slowing down and we are facing higher costs. What does that mean? Was the reaction yesterday a justified one, or do you think it was overdone?
So with one of our specific companies, Textron, they reported bad results within their industrial segment. It's specifically 10% of the company, the specialized vehicles unit, and it's more company specific, where it's U.S. dealers not being able to sell these dirt vehicles, essentially. So the channel to the market isn't sufficient at the moment. But the company lost about 15% of its market cap over the last 2 days. So essentially, investors are ascribing zero value to this specialized vehicles business. So we think that sell-off is probably overdone and see that as a buying opportunity. But no specific impact from China and tariff discussions just yet in aerospace.
Another big headline in the news lately that could affect some of these stocks is what happens with Saudi Arabia. If there are any implications, if the U.S. decides to cut back on anything, whether the U.S. would decide to stop some of those defense sales or whether the Saudis might, in retaliation, decide not to go ahead with some of those defense deals. What's your take on all of this? Because so far, most markets have been pretty calm and thinking it's not going to get to that.
We've seen the defense guys sell off on tariff discussions or just retaliation. Saudi is a big defense purchaser. It's the third largest purchaser globally. In 2014 and 15, when oil prices went down, we saw them cut back on spending. But we have to keep in mind that these are defensive and offensive purchases that they'll make. So they're not just sitting there and collecting dust on the defensive side. They're being used. And there aren't many international companies that will compete with the defense primes, such as Lockheed and Raytheon, that manufacture the products that are being sold to
But what do you
Saudi.
think happens? I mean, I think the bigger issue, there's two issues. One is the relationship between the United States and Saudi overall, and what kind of direction the defense companies take from them for that. And the second piece is whether you think that the defense companies may have to actually step out on their own differently and make a distinction and even separate themselves from the administration.
I think this administration has actually been very supportive of defense companies.
Right.
When U.S. defense companies sell internationally, they're selling company to country, whereas other competitors internationally sell country to country, essentially. So, in fact, this administration, despite what's out there in the press and the media, has been very supportive of.
Oh, no. I'm not saying that they haven't. I'm not saying the Trump administration. I'm saying it is possible that the Trump administration could actually find some kind of Salmonic solution to this,
Sure.
if you will. But then at the same time, there could be enough global outrage about what actually took place that they feel they have to, that the defense companies, just like some other companies, have decided that either they can't do business with Saudi or that they have to put a pause on it or whatever because of the sort of global public/moral pressure. You think that doesn't exist in the defense world?
No, I think it does. I think we've seen that to a degree. Saudi has a purchase of a THAAD order that's pending out there. It's $8 billion split between Lockheed and Raytheon, which was supposed to be sometime in 2018. We haven't heard an update on that. So there have been some things that are left in a interim period.
Are there have any of the defense companies ever said, look, we just actually can't do business with that country?
I can't recall off the top of my head, but I'm sure there's been situations where, the defense companies have decided to discontinue certain products that they find unsuitable to sell to certain foreign nations. So that has happened. But
Sheila, what's your favorite name in the sector?
We'll give it to Harris at the moment. Harris and L3, the combination. Defense budget is positive. That should help them. But they also have the margin capability. L3 on its own maybe would have difficulty, but the combination with Harris allows them to apply Harris's commercial model and sell its products in that manner.
Given the big boost this year that the president has bragged about so often, does that bring us to where we need to be in your view? do we need a couple more years of the same thing to get to where we need
I think
to
we
be?
need a few more years.
To do- really?
What we've seen in 18 and 19 has been very helpful in terms of 6% combined budget growth, and that has helped the armed services focus on modernization capabilities. We've seen big programs move forward, such as Next Gen Combat Vehicle. I was just at the Army show 2 weeks ago. Things like Future Vertical Lift to replace all the Army's helicopters. So big projects like that and modernization needs are getting funded, whereas in a split Congress that might have not moved forward as quickly.
Do you think we still are the top country in the world in terms of our capabilities?
I think we need to continue to spend to enhance our capabilities.